Our journey into space will not only make us stronger and more prosperous, but will unite us behind grand ambitions and bring us all closer together. Wouldn't that be nice? Can you believe that space is going to do that? I thought politics would do that. Well, we'll have to rely on... At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space? At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space? At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space?
Hello, everyone. I believe I have another Flat Earth bombshell for you today, and this one does build on our last Qantas whistleblower video from our friend Steven, and so you may want to watch that video first if you haven't. Again, this new whistleblower, who goes by the name Jake, is and obviously wants to remain anonymous. He is anonymous to me as well. I think it's pretty obvious, but I have to make it clear for some. He is entirely anonymous. That means there's no way to verify the information he is claiming. In contrast, the retired F-16 pilot was not anonymous to me, and so I could verify that he was indeed a well-honored F-16 pilot. But this information I'm presenting today could absolutely be false. But I personally think it's true. Use your own discernment in determining its veracity. But I think it's only right for me to share this important information as I receive it, and I find it fascinating as it opens new levels of discussion and research. And if what he says is true, well, that pretty much proves the shape of the Earth is not what they say it is. Again, if you have inside information regarding the Flat Earth or globe skepticism, please contact me at tabooconspiracy@gmail.com. But let's get to the emails. Hello, I don't follow your channel on a regular basis, but your last video from the Pilot Navigator hit me pretty hard. For years, I've had to live with what I did in the military. I thought it was a secret, and I couldn't talk about it for fear of prosecution. I had to protect my family and former colleagues in the service. But now that even civilian airline companies know about it, I think it's time to come clean. My job was to work on targeting systems. As Steve said, for truly accurate targeting, we need to put in corrections to the GPS system. As you know, GPS is a location system that is satellite-based global positioning. I am not at liberty to tell you how it actually works beyond saying it gives readings in spherical coordinates. This is okay for short distances as the air rate is pretty low. But my job was to accurately target objects the operators couldn't see due to terrain or distance. This is generally accomplished by means of a computer chip that is put in most targeting and self-guiding weapon systems using something called the ballistic targeting skew guidance algorithm, which takes these spherical coordinates and corrects them to the true location of the target. That correction is then fed into the guidance system. As a result, the ordnance flies true to the target, increasing accuracy. I will briefly describe how this works. The GPS system used by civilians returns spherical coordinates by law, and as I said, this is fine for navigating cars, short-range aircraft, and boats in coastal waters. But there are errors. You may note that military bases and other high-value targets are not located on the same line of longitude, nor on a line of longitude 180 degrees to that line relative to potential launch sites used by our adversaries. There is a reason for this. On the real Earth, north-south azimuths will accurately guide ordnance because the real world reflects the globe model. The problem is when you try to go east and west, especially south of the equator. This is why the GPS returns spherical coordinates. The error induced when you try to use GPS to hit a target to the east or west of the true line of longitude is enough to cause a miss. And we don't want our opponents to have accurate targeting data. I'm not going to say more, but you have to ask yourself why the extreme south, Antarctica, is off limits to civilians. The skew error would be greatest there, and facilities in Antarctica would be very difficult to target. While the existence of the ballistic targeting skew guidance may not be a secret, this actual correction factor is, and the version used by civilians is degraded enough to be useless for targeting, but good enough to bring the planes home under local guidance. I don't know why the true shape of the Earth is not being discussed in universities and taught in schools. My only thought is the reason is to protect this targeting system, but that can't be the only reason, as these weapons have only existed for a few decades. But schools and mainstream science has been teaching the globe for centuries. There must be another reason, and I want to thank you for opening my eyes to this community. I want to learn more, and I've always been curious. Now that I have the time and people are actually talking about it, I have the chance to look into it further. While I know the ballistic targeting skew guidance was in use when I was working with it 10 years ago, I can't help but think it isn't original. It's simply built on a pre-existing system in place for other reasons. Hopefully, due to the effort of you and others, we will discover these reasons. Thanks for listening and all you do. Jake, not real name, Smith. I am still worried about the powers that be, so I'll use this name for protection. Now, here are 2 subsequent emails from Jake where he clarifies some of my misunderstandings. I don't think you realize it is more than ballistic missiles. The system is called the Ballistic Targeting Skew Guidance and covers not only missiles but UAVs, manned aircraft, the most direct true route trades fuel for ordnance on target, guided and unguided missiles, etc. Anything with a range of more than a couple hundred kilometers. Like I said, the further south you go from the equator, the more important this correction and more effective the deception is. That is why Antarctica is so critical to our system. I am not familiar with the system the Qantas guy was talking about. That may be a civilian or even a company system. I'm just familiar with the military version. This works with the optical tracking integration system in the final stages of weapon delivery on the target, much like local controls and instrument approaches do for aircraft. It brings a weapon home in the last few kilometers once the main system gets it to within visual range. That's it for the emails. That's a huge revelation in my opinion, and so this video may be stepping on some important toes. Hopefully there will be a next time. Thanks for watching.